أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال الذي اشتراه من مصر لامرأته أكرمي مثواه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض ولنعلمه من تأويل الأحاديث والله غالب على أمره ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. My dear respected elders and brothers, from the point of where we stopped, ayah 20, basically, first of all, we have spoken about Yusuf alayhi salam as a young child with his father Yaqub, his revealing to his father the dream, his father instantly understanding that this was a glad tiding of nubuwwat and special, a special message for Yusuf alayhi salam that he will have a great maqam and great status in this earth. With that, the hasad and the hatred that his brothers had for him, which led them to plan to take Yusuf alayhi salam and to try and kill him. As we said, the oldest brother Yehuda, who was a little bit fond of Yusuf and had a little bit of hikmah, a little bit of wisdom compared to the other brothers, he persuaded them that we should not kill him, but rather we should place him in a well, and then the caravans that come and drink from that well, they'll take him and they will go to wherever they have to go, their destination. They'll take Yusuf alayhi salam with him, and then we'll have ourselves to our father. So the caravan came, and before taking Yusuf alayhi salam, we had mentioned, according to some mufassirin, it was the brothers who realized that Yusuf alayhi salam was taken by this caravan. They came upon them and then persuaded these caravan people to buy Yusuf alayhi salam from them. They tricked them and said that he was the slave of them. And according to different riwayat of mufassirin, some say for the 20 dirhams they sold Yusuf alayhi salam. But most mufassirin and those who are more into the tahqiq and research, and according to the Arabic that the Quran is displaying here, it seems to be that in Misr, that's where Yusuf alayhi salam, the ayat was talking about, where he was bought, and it was Azizi Misr, which is basically the term for a governor of Misr. He bought Yusuf alayhi salam, him and his wife, and وَكَانُوا فِيهِ مِنَ الزَّاهِدِينَ. They, but the caravan people, they did not really pay good attention to Yusuf alayhi salam and the fact that he was beautiful and smart. And of course they didn't know he was a Nabi of Allah Ta'ala. So they sold away, so to say, a diamond for a dime's price. They just sold him away, and they were very disinterested in this Zahideen, as a Zahid is disinterested in the earth. They were very disinterested in making any type of money from him. So they sold him for a petty price. Maybe they were happy with it. And Yusuf alayhi salam now had situated himself now in Misr. If you remember one of the ayats that we did before, Allah Ta'ala mentioned that this is a sign, this story, for those people, لِلسَّائِلِينَ, who are asking. And I had mentioned to you that according to many of the ulama, it was the Yahud of Medina who had now either told the mushrik in Mecca, or they themselves came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him about Yusuf alayhi salam. And they mentioned to the mushrik in Mecca that if he can tell the story, then basically that shows that he is a prophet of Allah Ta'ala. If he cannot, then it shows that he is not. So obviously the story started, and up to there we have read up to. In this ruku, where we are starting from ayat number 21, Allah Ta'ala now transfers over to Misr, Egypt. Now we know that Yusuf alayhi salam came from Canaan, which is placed in Syria. It's a very simple place, so to say, like a small village, very simple, not a big market area, and more like in the farms and in the villages like the people live out there. Now he comes to Misr, which was one of the greatest and biggest and luxurious cities in the world. So this poor young boy who is coming from the bottom of a well, from a progeny and a family of prophets, now he comes amongst people who are drowning in the luxuries of the dunya, people who are worshipping more than one God, they are idolaters, and they have a king, and they have a lot of goods from different... You can imagine the great, large city that he's coming in now, and out of all the people who bought him, it was Azizi Misr. Now he goes into, so to say, the palace, the mayor's house, the governor's house. He's in there. So the change is very drastic for Yusuf alayhi salam. He goes from, what do you say, rags to riches, like they say. So Allah Ta'ala is talking about this here. And he was bought by Aziz of Misr, the governor of Misr. The governor of Misr had a wife. The Mufassirin have mentioned that she was very young and very beautiful. And we'll read more about her intentions with Yusuf alayhi salam. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَقَالَ الَّذِي اشْتَرَاهُ مِن مِصْرَ لِإِمْرَأَتِهِ. The person who bought Yusuf alayhi salam from Misr, he said to his wife, أَكْرِمِي مَثْوَاهُ, that make his stay comfortable. Akrimi. Akrimi is a imperative verb, means it's a verb of command, which means respect him, honor him, and make his stay. Mathwa means a place of stay. So make his stay with ikram, meaning respect him and honor him and give him a very comfortable stay. Asa ay yanfa'ana. It's quite possible that this child will bring us some benefit. He knew already that Yusuf alayhi salam was very smart, an intelligent young boy. As many of the Anbiya and the Prophets are when they are young, they're extremely intelligent. Allah Ta'ala blesses the Prophets with their beautiful sirat and beautiful surat. Both. Their sirat, their inside, is beautiful. The akhlaq, uyub, they don't have usually stuttering problems. They don't have deficiencies. And their surat also, the face and their body, usually is very beautiful. Prophets don't have pot bellies and things like this. They're very, very good, strong people. Allah makes them very, very nice. So he obviously saw this from this child. So he told his wife that this child can give us some benefit. We keep him in the house. He's going to be a good servant. He's a respectful person. He's good. And أَوْ نَتَّخِذَهُ وَلَدًا. And not even the fact that we can take him as a servant, but we don't have a child, we can take him as a child. And it was mentioned that the Aziz in Misr, he had a manhood problem. He wasn't able to perform properly as a man, Mufassir have mentioned. So he could not have a child with her. So they figured that this would be a good way to have some type of child figure in the house, someone they can have as a youngster that would now take the place of the child that they don't have. So, oh, nattakhida walada, we can take him as our child. Allah Ta'ala, of course, the Quran has stories in it, but it's not a storybook. So Allah Ta'ala is not mentioning the name of Azizi Misr. So we have to start now dwelling, who's this person, that we start looking into where he was born and this. We don't need to know that. And the lady also, her name is not mentioned as well. Many Mufassirin mention different names. The popular one, of course, is Sulaykha. Wallahu alam, Allah Ta'ala knows best. The ulama of tafsir in these type of places, they say, Abhimu ma abhamullah. Whatever Allah Ta'ala has kept unclear, you keep it unclear as well. It wouldn't make a difference whether we knew the names of these people, the age of these people or not. So it doesn't really matter whether we know their name or not. Actually, in the whole Quran, the only woman's name that comes is Maryam. Allah Ta'ala does not mention any other woman's name in the whole Quran. The ulama say there's two reasons for this. The first reason is that the respect of a woman and the fact that a woman should be in purdah. Even the name and description of the woman it should be covered and it should be kept at a not an open level. People should not exposingly talk about women and things like this. So in the same way, Allah Ta'ala has kept it like this as well. And the second reason is He only mentioned Maryam radiallahu anha because the people were saying that Isa alayhi salam was the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to establish the fact that no, Isa ibn Maryam, he's the son of Maryam, not the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there was also a reason behind that. If that reason was not there, if they wouldn't say that Isa, it may have been that Allah Ta'ala would not even mention the name of Maryam radiallahu anha in the Quran as well. So this person, Aziz in Misr, he told his wife to make sure that he is comfortable in the house, and we may take him as a benefit or we may take him as a child. So Allah Ta'ala does not go into the story deeper. He says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. In this way we situated Yusuf alayhi salam in the earth, meaning in Misr. This is the way that he left Canaan and now he started his life, which is an incredible life, a miracle in Misr. لِنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, so that we may teach him the interpretations of dreams. Meaning, it was in Misr where the first sign, or the first, we will see first, this great miracle that Yusuf alayhi salam was given, where he would exactly interpret dreams exactly the way they are supposed to be. So Allah Ta'ala says, وَلِنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. One of the reasons why they brought him to Misr was to show the people this great miracle and this great gift that Allah Ta'ala had given him, and that was ta'wil al-ru'ya, the interpretation of dreams. And basically in the stories coming up, there's 2 times he's going to do it. One time is in the jail, which we'll see if we reach today, where 2 people come to him and he interprets their dream. And right after that, the story after it is the story of the king's dream, which brings Yusuf alayhi salam all the way up to the throne of Misr. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions beautifully here, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلِنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. This is the way we showed the people that Yusuf alayhi salam had the great interpretations of dreams. وَاللَّهُ غَالِبٌ عَلَىٰ أَمْرِهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah Ta'ala is overpowering over His affairs. Why is Allah Ta'ala saying this? Because when Yusuf alayhi salam was placed in the well, a person may question that how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this young boy and this prophet in this predicament, in this situation? You almost say like he's killing him, he's going to leave him for good. So Allah Ta'ala wants to show us that every single mu'amala that Allah Ta'ala does with us, and every single affair that He does, He's ghalib over it. He can do whatever He wants. He could have brung Misr alayhi salam on a flying carpet to Misr, right? If He wanted to, but He didn't. Why? Allah Ta'ala is ghalib ala amri. He's overpowering whatever He does. Whatever He wants to do, He can do. And He wanted that Yusuf alayhi salam be under that well, be brung from the depths of that well, and at the end point, be brought all the way to the throne of Misr. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. But most people, they don't know. When they see people in a different situation, or they themselves are in a difficult situation, they don't understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Aziz. Most of the ulama of tafsir, whenever the name Aziz comes, Allah Ta'ala's sifat and His quality, Aziz, the tafsir of Aziz is Ghalibun ala amri. So basically Allah Ta'ala is saying here, Wallahu Azizun. Allah Ta'ala is Aziz. He can do whatever He wants. If He wants the rain to come from the floor and the grass to grow from the sky, He can do it if He wants. He doesn't do it, but if He wants to, He can do it. And He's shown His power also by bringing the camel out from the mountain in the life of Salih alayhi salam. The ulama of tafsir in regards to that miracle I mentioned when we did it here, is that the ulama, one mufassir, he says that forget about Allah Ta'ala taking the camel out of the mountain. If He wanted to, He could have taken a mountain out of the camel. If He wanted to. His power is such like this. If He wanted to. So Allah Ta'ala does anything He wants. Allah Ta'ala mentions now here, وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ, when Yusuf alayhi salam reached his strongest age. Now Yusuf alayhi salam was a young boy when he came to Misr. So now he spent some years in Misr, and now he's reached his strongest age, where probably most of the ulama mention, maybe in his late teens, or now he's becoming more of an adult, 20, 21, 22 years old. So he's becoming an older person. Allah Ta'ala mentions, آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. At that time, Allah Ta'ala Himself gave him hukma wa ilma. Allah Ta'ala gave him the hikmah, the wisdom, and wisdom in light of the Sharia and Islam, in the light of the Arabic language, means isabatul fi'l, meaning for a person to do something correctly. Doesn't seem like a very strange thing to do something right. That's hikmah. What's the big deal about that? So you do something right, but to do something. But the reason why hikmah is such a great thing is that when nobody knows how to do the right thing, that's when it's ajib, when hikmah comes out. Everybody's sitting, what the hell are we going to do? What's going to happen? So one person who's hakim, who has hikmah, he will come out and say, do like this. And it's the right thing, that's hikmah. That's where hikmah is shown, where hikmah is seen. So Allah Ta'ala gave him this hikmah, and Allah Ta'ala gave him knowledge as well. As all the prophets were such that they didn't sit behind teachers or in schools. Many of them, and Rasulullah has said, بِغَيْرِ istithna, without any type of exception, all the prophets were sheep herders. They all used to herd sheep, and they all went to certain training programs and they were children. And many of them did not go through any type of school program and things like this. Most of them were taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. He blessed them and granted them with great ilm and knowledge and hikmah. So Allah Ta'ala uses these two words, hikmah, isabatul fail, and ilm. And ilm basically means, that type of knowledge which He acted upon. That type of knowledge which He acted upon. Most of the ulama, if you put this together, they say, meaning Allah Ta'ala is telling us that He granted him nubuwwat. He was now a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And in this way, Allah Ta'ala says, we give those people who are the muhsineen, those people who are good doers. Most of the ulama tafsir mention. And in this way, the other prophets also, when they reached an older age and a stronger age, Allah Ta'ala blessed them with prophethood as well. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam was in this house. And as I told you before, Azizi Misr was suffering from a manhood problem. He could not have children and perform properly as a male. So his wife was a young lady, and she was a bit perturbed about this. Azizi Misr, being the governor, he was also probably perturbed about it, but a bit embarrassed about it as well. It became a situation for him. So this now spread all the way till it reached Yusuf alayhi salam. Because now he had a young, beautiful girl in the house who was desirous of a man, and Yusuf alayhi salam would fit the description for anyone, any woman like that, because he was such a beautiful person. He had knowledge, he had hikmah, he was a prophet also. So he was in the house doing the work, and this lady fell madly in love with him, the wife of Azizi Misr. Allah Ta'ala now starts the story of where Yusuf alayhi salam was tested by Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي إنه لا يفلح الظالمون. Allah Ta'ala mentions right off the bat, He doesn't go into the story and how it led to there, but goes up right and starts off that this all happened from the lady's side. It was not Yusuf alayhi salam, but it was actually the wife of Azizi Misr who had started and initiated this, and it was her wrongdoing. That's why Allah Ta'ala says, وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا. And this young lady, the wife of Azizi Misr, she enticed Yusuf alayhi salam, that same lady who was in her house, who fi baytiha. She enticed him, and she enticed him who was in her house. Meaning, she tried to entice Yusuf alayhi salam into, of course, doing the intercourse or doing something wrong, an nafsihi, against his will. So she tried to persuade him and tried to pervert him to do wrong against his will. وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ And before she did this, she closed and locked the doors and went into the room. Rawada yurawidu means to try to entice someone, to try to get someone to get into the intercourse and to persuade someone to have the sex with someone. This is called murawada. So this is what she did, and she closed the doors also. And then she told him, قَالَتْ هَيْتَ. She told him, come closer to me, come to me. Yusuf alayhi salam right away turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he said, قَالَ مَعَاذُ اللَّهِ. He said, may Allah ta'ala protect me. May Allah ta'ala protect me. إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَاي. There's two tafseers of إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَاي. The tarjama would be that verily He is my Lord, أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَاي. He gave me a good lodging, meaning He gave me a good place to live. He's taking care of me. The first, many mufassirin, they say that Rabbi is going back to Allah Ta'ala Himself. Ma'adullah. Verily Allah Ta'ala has given me a good place to stay. Meaning that same Allah who took me from the depths of the well, away from my brothers who hated me, and brought me all the way to this beautiful house in Misr. Now I've got gold around me, I'm in the house of the governor, I'm in a good condition. That Lord now, you want me to go against Him, who has done so much ihsan and favored me? I could never do that. Look at what He's done to me. And this is why the ulama mention that عند المعصية, when a person is about to sin, he should think about the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he has that inclination to do something wrong, one thing that can keep him away from sin, of course of all, is to say ma'adullah or a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I ask Allah ta'ala for protection against shaitan. That's the first thing that we do. فَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانُ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. If shaitan happens to do any whispering to you and happens to try and trick you into sin, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the protection. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. It is Allah ta'ala who's hearing everything that's going on between you and the shaitan, that you don't even know if it's the shaitan's voice, but he knows, he's hearing, and he knows everything as well. He's hearing it and he knows it. So the first thing was ma'adullah, and the second thing was understanding the ihsan and the favors that Allah ta'ala had done upon him. When a person remembers the ihsan and the favor, then how can that person now go against the favors of Allah ta'ala? So the first tarjuma would be that this means Allah. Many other ulama have said that Rabbi actually means Azizi Misr, meaning Rabbul Bayt. Rabbi meaning my owner, because Rabb is spoken for Allah ta'ala also, and the owner of a house or the owner of a slave. He also could be called Rabb as well in the Arabic language. So he's saying actually that Innahu Rabbi, verily Azizi Misr, the governor of Misr who bought me, he's my master. Ahsana mathwai, and he gave me a good place to stay. Meaning he's remembering the statement that he said to his wife, where he said to his wife, Akrimi mathwahu. Right? When he told his wife, that we did it right before, when he told his wife that, give him a good place to stay, help him out. Now that same Azizi Misr, that same governor who told you, now I'm going to go against him and do zina with his wife and fornicate with his wife, that's something very terrible, I cannot do it. So there was two things that Yusuf alayhi salam turned towards: the istihdar and the knowing of the presence of Allah ta'ala and asking protection from Him, and the second thing, to understand the ni'mats and the ihsan and the favors of Allah ta'ala, or the favors of his owner and the person who had bought him. So she told him to come, and then he told her, إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And those people who are oppressors, meaning those people who sin, they will never be successful. They are never victorious, they are never successful, and I'm not from amongst those people who are dhalim. After this, Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَرَّآ بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ كذلك لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء إنه من عبادنا المخلصين. Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ. She desired him, وَهَمَّ بِهَا. and he would have desired her, لَوْلَا أَرْرَآ بُرْحَانَ رَبِّي, if he would have not had seen the proof of his Lord. Now this statement here, if we look at it, لَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ, there's no problem with that. We know already that she desired him and she had some wrong intentions. But when we look at وَهَمَّ بِهَا, that Yusuf alayhi salam also desired her. So Mufassireen have now had different opinions about this. One is the Am and the general Mufassireen, who say, and bring riwayat also of the past kitabs and the past ulama, meaning the ulama of the Christian and the Nasara, that it became so intense that this young lady was right next to Yusuf alayhi salam and they were almost touching each other, meaning they were almost about to get involved in fornication. And they say until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did one of two things. Either Jibreel alayhi salam came between them and Yusuf alayhi salam saw Jibreel and was warned by him and moved away. And some ulama of tafsir, they say that Yaqub alayhi salam appeared before him and told him to not do this, and he moved away. This is, many Mufassireen have mentioned this, and due to our respect for them, we will not say they are wrong, but we will take the view of the Muhaqqiqeen, those who are more researched in the tafsir. Because there's a few problems with that story. One of them would be, we would be sacrificing a very great point of our aqeedah and our belief of Ismatul Anbiya. That the Anbiya are all innocent and they are sinless. It wouldn't be sacrificing it because he didn't do it, but yet there'd be a lot of questions we would have to ask, that how can a prophet of such great level, Yusuf alayhi salam, a whole surah has been dedicated to him, get involved with such a thing that any, Tom, Dick and Harry on the street, Muhammad Ismail and Yusuf, any Yusuf on the street also, he also can stay away from something like this, where someone's wife would come to him and ask him to do something, and he would say, Na'udhu billah, and run away from that situation. There are many of us and general people and regular Muslims, we'd be able to, and now a prophet is getting involved in this as well. So therefore, this tafsir, the muhaqqiqeen and the research scholars, they have said that because we are now sacrificing, or there will be a lot of complaints against our aqeedah of Ismatul Anbiya, that we'll have to answer a lot of questions after that. And the second thing being that the tafsir of Yaqub becoming in front of Yusuf alayhi salam or Jibreel alayhi salam, it seems a bit far-fetched that Yaqub alayhi salam would appear in front of Yusuf alayhi salam, though not impossible. Allah Ta'ala is qadirun ala kulli shay, He's able to do all things. But we haven't seen this type of thing from any other Anbiya or any other prophets, where prophets are now appearing in front of each other and some type of hologram or some type of thing is coming. It just is a thing that doesn't feel right, and it feels far-fetched. So the Muhaqqiqeen say that if we look at this statement, there's no need for us to say that Yusuf alayhi salam had actually desired her. Because after it, Allah Ta'ala uses the word lawla. And this is not the only place in Quran. Allah Ta'ala in another surah, He mentions about the mother of Musa alayhi salam. In kitta latubdi bihi lawla arrabatana ala qalbiha. Allah Ta'ala mentions about the mother of Musa alayhi salam when she was about to expose to the officers of Fir'aun that I have a son in my house, Musa alayhi salam. She didn't know what to do. And Allah Ta'ala had told her to what? Put him in the ocean, put him in the water, which was something that was incredible. He gave her ilham and inspired her, and she understood that Allah Ta'ala wanted her to put her son in the water. She was disarray, she didn't know what to do, she was in confusion. So Allah Ta'ala, in regards to showing this great, incredible situation she was in, Allah Ta'ala mentioned, in kitta latubdi. She almost exposed Musa alayhi salam to the officers. Lawla. Same word here, lawla. If it wasn't that we had established her heart, we made her heart strong, so therefore she did not what? She didn't expose Musa alayhi salam. She hid him, and then she put him in the ocean, and then we know what happened to Musa alayhi salam after that. So this lawla is not only used here in Yusuf alayhi salam's qissa, but it's also used and shows that the mother did not expose Musa, But actually Allah Ta'ala is trying to show an incredible situation that if it wasn't for the help of Allah Ta'ala, then they would have done that. In the same place here, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned وَهَمَّ بِهَا. That's why the tarjumah I gave is that he would have desired her. Meaning the situation was such that if any of us were there, we probably would have done it. The beautiful wife of the governor, a young lady, and you're a young man also, and you've been in the house for a while, you know that man's got problems, he can't satisfy her. So we would also said, hey, what can I do? She came to me first. It's not my fault. She locked the doors even. I can't even get out. What the hell you want me to do? So the situation was so incredibly difficult that's why Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَهَمَّ بِهَا. He would have desired her, لَوْلَا. If it wasn't for أَرَّأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّي. If Allah Ta'ala didn't show him his proof. Now, that's where we get to the point of Burhan Rabbi. The other Mufassirin, they say, Burhan Rabbi here means what? Yaqub coming in front of him or Jibreel coming in front of him. What are you going to say about Burhan Rabbi? No problem. Our Burhan Rabbi, our proof and our dalil was up top, where he said, Ma'adullah innahu Rabbi ahsana mathway. I told you, the istihdar, the presence of Allah Ta'ala, knowing that Allah Ta'ala is there, and also understanding the ihsan of Allah Ta'ala and the favors of Allah Ta'ala. This was the burhan of Allah Ta'ala. This was what Allah Ta'ala showed him. That when she came to him, he understood, Allah is watching me, ma'adullah, and He's done so much great things to me, I can never do this. So therefore, the ishkal or the complaint or the tafsir can be done without us sacrificing our aqidah, our belief on ismatul anbiya. Allah Ta'ala after this mentions, did everyone understand that? Everybody understood that? Even if we haven't understood that, the innocence of Yusuf alayhi salam, Imam Razi in Tafsir Kabir has mentioned a lot of beautiful points about this. And he has mentioned that there are many people who still are sticking to this tafsir, and they almost want to say that Yusuf almost committed, zina, and they want to keep proving this. So if we can't even look at the lawla and the Arabic text is a little bit difficult for us, so he mentions that let us look at the text of Quran, other ayat, and see whether he was actually guilty or not if he did this. So first of all, let's get it straight from Yusuf alayhi salam. Did Yusuf alayhi salam try to do this or not? So we know that Yusuf alayhi salam has mentioned later on in the story that it was actually her who tried to induce on me. She tried to now do this to me. And later on, Yusuf alayhi salam in tafsir, he mentions in the Surah Yusuf later on, he says, ذَلِكَ لِيَعْلَمَ لَمْ أَخُنْهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. Later on, when Yusuf alayhi salam comes out of the jail, and Sulaykha, or the wife of Aziz Misr, she says that I'm the one that did this. So this is what Yusuf alayhi salam says. ذَلِكَ لِيَعْلَمَ لَمْ أَخُنْهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. This is to let you know that I did not do khiyanat. I did not now, cheat on my Lord or on my leader or on my master when he wasn't there. So Yusuf alayhi salam later on, he says himself in Surah Yusuf that I did not do any khiyanat, I didn't do any wrong. Azizi Misr, later on in a couple of ayats, he's going to mention, Innaki kunti min al-khati'in. You are the one who's wrong. He will say to the lady, you're the one who's wrong. Even later on in this story, it's going to come also in a couple of ayats, we're going to do it in a minute. وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا. The ulama of tafsir mentioned who this person was, that a person who was in the room with them bore witness that Yusuf alayhi salam didn't do it. Most of the ulama of tafsir, 9 out of 10, say that this was a small child, a baby. And the riwayat comes of Ibn Abbas also, that just about 4 children in the history of Islam, meaning not just our Islam, but the history of Islam all the way from the time of Adam alayhi salam, spoke while they were in their cradle. And one of them was Shahidu Yusuf, the witness of Yusuf. So there was a small child, most of the Mufassirin, they say, there was a small child there, and that child was in its crib, and it was just in the room. Whose child it was? Min ahliha, from her family. Maybe her nephew, her niece. If it was it looks like it was a mudhakkar because he's saying shahida shahidun. So one young little boy who's not able to speak, he was sitting in his little, in his little crib, and he's watching the whole thing happen. And then when they all came and said, what happened? They're going to do the shirt, we're going to do it. And then this small child, he spoke from the crib, and a small little child, and said that Yusuf alayhi salam was innocent. This was a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the child who was there also bore witness that Yusuf alayhi salam didn't do this. Even Imra'atul Aziz, the lady herself, later on in the story she's going to say, Al-ana hassas al-haq, ana rawattuhu an nafsi, wa innahu lamina as-sadiqeen. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that perverted him, and he's the truthful one. Allah Ta'ala later on is going to, it says it right here. The next ayat we're going to do, the next part of the ayat. كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءُ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. In this way we got the evil away and the zina away from Yusuf alayhi salam, and he was from our slaves who are chosen. And it is the tarz and the sunnat and the style of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, that whenever a statement is mentioned about the Anbiya in the Quran, and there's a thought of isyan, there's a thought of sin there, Allah Ta'ala then mentions after that, innahu min ibadin al-mukhlasin. Don't think this banda did sins. He's a prophet of Allah Ta'ala. We chose him, mukhlasin. He's from those people who are chosen from the Anbiya, he cannot sin. Then Imam Razi in his very, in his very demanding way, he tells those people who believe that Yusuf alayhi salam is guilty here, he says, Are bhai, if you don't take the statement of Allah Ta'ala and Yusuf alayhi salam and the woman herself and the shahida shahidun, all these people you haven't taken, kam se kam shaitan ka kaul qabul kar lo. Let shaitan tell you that he's, at least take the statement of shaitan and believe that. Because shaitan later on says what? That فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. When Allah Ta'ala had warned shaitan that you're going to go to Jahannam, so he asked Allah Ta'ala, please give me some time. فَبِعِزَّتِكَ, by your izzah and by your honor, لَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, I'm going to lead all of this insan astray. Everybody. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمَ الْمُخْلَصِينَ, except for those slaves who have been chosen. Those ones who are mukhlas, I cannot do the ghawi, I cannot do ghawa, I cannot trick them, I cannot get them into the sin. And Allah Ta'ala said himself, إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادٍ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. So Imam Razi says, if you're not taking the call or the statement of all these different people about Yusuf's innocence, at least at end point believe shaitan. He's the one that made you feel about that. He's also saying, don't say this about Yusuf alayhi salam. So even with all these proofs, we can see that Yusuf alayhi salam is not, is not guilty of any type of zina or even attempting to do it. Allah Ta'ala says, وَكَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ. And in this way we turned Yusuf alayhi salam away from evil, wal-fahsha, and indecency or fornication. Fahsha usually means fornication. Usually it's named zina. Or here we can say indecency or fornication. إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Verily he was from those people who were chosen by Allah Ta'ala. وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابَ وَقَدَّتْ قَمِيصَهُ مِنْ دُبُرٍ وَأَلْفَ يَا سَيِّدَهَا لَدَى الْبَابِ قَالَتْ مَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ أَرَادَ بِأَهْلِكَ سُوءًا إِلَّا أَنْ يُسْجَنَ أَوْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Allah Ta'ala says, وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ. When she tried to go towards him and now tried to even force her way on him, وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابِ. They both raced towards the door. Yusuf alayhi salam, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Right? Ma'adullah. Then after that, إِنَّهُ أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَاهُ. And the ulama they mentioned, after that, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Right? Run away. And for us, not for Yusuf, but for us should be فِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ first. Firra. We shouldn't say A'udhu Billah too much, right? There's one qissa of one person, a teacher, who caught his student looking at the dirty magazine in class. So when he went to go look and saw him, what is this kid doing? He's looking at the kid seeing something. So he went over there and looked over, what is this? So he picked up the magazine. He told him, what is this you're looking at? He turned the page, he said, Astaghfirullah, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim. What is this? He turned the next, A'udhu Billah, what is this? A'udhu Billah, what is this? And this way he finished the whole book with A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem and Astaghfirullah, and the whole book was finished, and A'udhu Billahi, and Shaitan was there, stayed there. So the ulama mentioned that A'udhu Billahi Minash Astaghfirullah, sometime when the sins are there, we don't sit in the club and say A'udhu Billahi wa Astaghfirullah, right? Someone just gets on deen strong and his friends take him to the club and he sits there saying Astaghfirullah, A'udhu Billah. Then by the end of the night, A'udhu Billah, everybody's making, everybody's asking, may Allah Ta'ala protect me from him. So we should run. Firru ilallah. We should never be in any of those things. That's what he did. Yusuf alayhi salam, after this, when he was forced, فَفِرُّ ilallah. Then he ran towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He ran towards the doors. وَقَدَّتْ قَمِيسَهُ مِن دُبُرٍ. And it was so crazy that she was in such desire for him that she grabbed him from the back of his shirt and he was running away, so his shirt ripped from the back. وَقَدَّتْ. And it ripped قَمِيسَهُ, his shirt, مِن دُبُرٍ, from the back. وَأَلْفَ يَا سَيِّدَهَا لَدَى الْبَابِ. And as situations are like this, always a bad situation gets even worse. As they got to the door, and miraculously Yusuf alayhi salam opened the door, who was there standing? It was Sayyidaha, the leader of Misr, Aziz Misr, her husband. He's now with the ripped shirt and she's standing there. What are we going to do now? What's going to happen? وَأَلْفَ يَا سَيِّدَهَا لَدَى الْبَابِ. لَدَى الْبَابِ means by the door they found Sayyidaha, her husband, there. قَالَتْ. Quickly, she was very smart. She was the wife of the governor, so she understood politics and how to get out of a bad situation, and she knew lying. She was sitting with the politics all the time, so they lie all the time, so she knew how to lie. So قَالَتْ مَا جَزَاءُ. She said, what is the punishment for that person who wants some evil with your wife? Anybody who intends some evil with your wife, what's his punishment going to be? What you going to do to him? So now she's trying to ighra, she's trying to get her husband to get angry now. That this person tried to do bad to me. What kind of, you're the governor, what laws do you have for this person who tried to do wrong with your wife? إِلَّا أَن يُشْجَنَ. Except that he be jailed, or عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, or he be given some painful punishment. I want something here. This man tried to approach me. And now you must either punish him or you must put him in jail. So now the situation has gotten crazy. Now it went from her going after him to accusing him of that same very sin that she tried to do with him. After this, Yusuf alayhi salam, of course, innocently says, قَالَ هِيَ رَاوَدَتْنِي عَن نَفْسِي وشهد شاهد من أهلها إن كان قميصه قد من قبل فصدقت وهو من الكاذبين. So قال هي راودتني عن نفسي. So Yusuf alayhi salam said that she's the one who tried to entice me, who tried to pervert me. An nafsi, against my own will. She tried to force the intercourse or the relationship upon me. After this, Allah Ta'ala, وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا. And also a witness had borne witness from her family, and we already mentioned that. That was the small child who was sitting in the room, according to most Mufassirin. Some other Mufassirin mentioned that it was her uncle, the uncle of this lady herself, who believed in Yusuf and knew Yusuf. He was the one that bore witness and saw what happened. Allah Ta'ala knows best. Then the situation was given that they had now, thought of how to now, let's get the proofs and let's see if we can deal with this situation right here. So, in kana qamisuhu qudda min qubul. If his shirt is ripped from the front, fasadaqat, that would mean that she's telling the truth and he's now lying. Because where they were found in a situation, they were running towards the door, right? So if he's running away from her, how would his shirt then be ripped from the front? That would mean that he was approaching her and her pushing away, and she maybe smacked him or tried to scratch him, and she ripped his shirt. So this would be one of the great proofs against Yusuf alayhi salam, if his shirt was ripped from the front, and would show that he's not what? He's not now, he wasn't running away from her and trying to escape from her. At the time of Sahaba radiallahu anhu, when the Sahabi would die, so they would look at whether the sword marks were on his back or on his front, right? If it was on the front of the person, so mashallah, Allahu Akbar. It shows that what? he was getting struck and hit, and he was also fighting, and he was getting hit, and he died like this. If it was on the back, usko dafan karo bas. It shows that what? He was running away, and with the Sahaba it never was that case, of course. It was never that case. But with other people, we have heard in the Mu'arrikheen I've mentioned of people who are like this, right? You got the knife part on the washing on the back. When we were younger, we had one friend of ours, and he had an unfortunate situation, and he was shot in the buttocks, in the backside. And you can only imagine the different jokes that were said about him when they found that out about him. That where were you going when the shots were taken off? So usually that would happen. So retreat. If he is retreating, then that person what? That would mean that means that the sword was hitting him. He was in retreat. Same thing. If Yusuf alayhi salam was running away, then it should be from the back, but it was from the front. If it was from the front, so that means fasadaqat. That means she's telling the truth. And he's the liar. The next ayat says, وَإِن كَانَ قَمِيصُهُ قُدَّ مِن دُبُرٍ فَكَذَبَتْ وَهُوَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And if his shirt is now ripped from the back, فَكَذَبَتْ, then she's the one who has lied, وَهُوَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ, and then he is the one who told the truth. Because it would show that he was running away from her, and she was the one that was approaching him. فَلَمَّا رَأَى قَمِيصَهُ قُدَّ مِن دُبُرٍ قَالَ إِنَّهُ مِن كَيْدِكُنَّ إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. When it was seen, when he saw, meaning Aziz ibn Misr, when he saw that the shirt was ripped from the back, so then the Aziz ibn Misr said, إِنَّهُ مِن كَيْدِكُنَّ. It is from her plot. She is the one that plotted. This is the evil of her. Inna kayda kunna azim. Verily, the tricks and the plans of the lady is very, very azim. It's very, very great. Meaning something that is, it's very, very, what would you say? Very bad. Azim. Azim here would mean it's a very bad thing. It's enormous. It's great. It's something that can grab anybody. Great people have now fallen in front of the feet of the woman. So, of course, in regards to zina and fornication, and we know, big, how many of our governors and all these people are gone, right? Women, zina, right? He's so muazzaz, and he's governor, and he's, and he's even our own presidents, and he's an executive of a company, and he's got the greatest highs, the pedestal, everybody respects him and honors him, and there's some, he gets caught with some, not even ugly, something, frog, in some corner of Manhattan, and he's now Zalil. So disgraced, he's got to hold a press conference, leave his thing, can't get another job. Sport players, it happens to everybody. So, inna kayda kunna azim. Their plans, it's very, very great. You have to be very careful. But we know that Aziz ibn Misr already had the manhood problem. He already is the governor of Misr. Now the governor of Misr's wife tried to sleep with a young man that the Aziz ibn Misr brought into his house himself, his respected servant. These are things now that he would have to hold a press conference in Misr after himself, right? Just something that you don't want your society and your people to know about. So therefore, as a politician is, he says, Yusuf alayhi salam, leave this, don't talk about this. Let's brush this or sweep this underneath the carpet and pretend like it never happened. So that's why he said, Yusufu a'rid an hadha. Yusuf, forget about this. A'rid an hadha. Usko chhod do. Leave this. Leave her. Meaning, try to say what? He's trying to say what? She's still going to be my wife. Everything's going to stay the same. Let's pretend like this didn't happen. Wastaghfiri li dhanbik. And you, make tawbah. Told his wife, Wastaghfiri li dhanbik. Tawbah, what are you doing? Don't do this ever again. Ask forgiveness from your sin. Innaki kunti min al-khati'in. You are a wrongdoer. You were in mistake. Why you did this with Yusuf alayhi salam? So this was his dantna, and this was his, his scolding of her. And then after that, of course, he couldn't do anything else. Why? He didn't want this to be exposed. If it got exposed to the people outside, it would have been bad for him being a governor, and bad for his, his status, and it would have been a bad, for the media and all these things at that time. Everyone talking. And also with that as well, it could have been exposed also about his manhood and what was going on in his house. So therefore he told them to leave it. But unfortunately after this, the story spreads anyway. And as it spreads, Azizi Misr, his wife, wants to do something about it, and she doesn't want people to think that I'm just sitting here like a crazy person, I'm in love with this person. You should see how great this man is too. Inshallah, next week we will do that story. And not next week. Next week I believe there is a program here. I was told May 3rd there's a program here. So that's what I was told. So I don't think next week. I was told last week, and they said they'll message me also about it. But I believe Mahmoud, is it Mahmoud? Mahmoud, right? Mahmoud Khan, right? Yes. Yes, Mahmoud Khan said they have some program. So next week, it's looking like, if it changes, then no problem, just call me and I'll come. There's a program they have, another program. So quite possibly next week we won't have this tafsir. If we do, I'm here and I'll be coming. If not, then inshallah the week after we will carry on and talk about how this story spread and what was happened after that. And then of course each story, part of the story, we'll go into inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Wa akhir da'wana, alhamdulillah.